If you're betting the NBA tonight before watching this video, you will be like a soldier headed to war without his gun.
I live the life, the bright lights, the type, the crowd likes. Where you at, ballers? Ladies love me and men, they wanna be me, they pay to come see me. Where you at, ballers?
What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to another episode of NBA Player Performance. I, of course, am your favorite capper, J.A. Cavalier. Before we get started, go ahead, smash the like button. Appreciation, always appreciated. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you're new guys, welcome. We do this every Monday through Friday, every day. Also, now, tonight, we have two videos. We already have the NBA Best Bets out. Make sure you check that as well. I've given you guys the best bet for free on that show. This is more so about breaking down the biggest matchups, giving you the information that you need to help you in your handicap. So we're breaking down the two nationally televised games here tonight. We're breaking down the Lakers and the Cavaliers, and then we're going to break down the Battle of Texas, the Spurs and Rockets. Before we get into that, let's recap what happened last night for me. Not good, not bad, just, kind of like tongue kissing your sister. 2-2 night for me. We're going to start in Madison Square Gardens. We had the New York Knicks and the Sacramento Kings. Now, this game was tied going into the fourth quarter, and then New York pretty much locked the door and turned off the basket. 31-15 in the fourth quarter. Brunson and Cat, they took over the game. Sacramento couldn't buy a three. They were 5 for 30 from deep. DeRozan did have 34 points in the game, but when you shoot 16% from three at MSG, you're not winning. It really is as simple as that. We move on to the Sixers Bucks. Now, I did give this one out for free. I gave you guys on social media the 76ers laying the 9.5. It was kind of simple, no-brainer for me. Bounce back spot for the Sixers, and the Bucks are fucking awful. No Giannis, and Philly treated him like a target. His target practice pretty much all night. And of course, now in the news, social media everywhere, you know what? It's all about the mock trades for Giannis. The Miami Heat and the New York Knicks seem to be the front runners. Hoping he comes here to Miami. It'll make my tickets when I resell them that much more fucking valuable. Let's go. So for the Sixers, 22 threes on 52% from deep, just insane numbers. Paul George went nuke. Embiid set the tone early. This game was never really competitive. Philly led for basically the entire night. Washington Blazers, that game was chaos. And who would have thunk that the best game from an entertainment standpoint, from a viewer, from a fan standpoint, would have been this game? And it was. What a great basketball game. But I did try to tell you guys, it was a bad spot for the Blazers. Terrible spot for the Blazers. Awful spot for the Blazers. You just played a four-quarter, really tough game the night before in Boston, in TD Garden, and you exerted all of that energy in the fourth quarter, cutting it to 5 before going down by 8. You know what? Then you have to come back, play the next night against a team like Washington. And Washington, look, they finally snapped their losing streak. And it did take a monster game from Sarr. Give the guy his flowers. I don't think we give Sarr enough flowers, but we're going to give him some tonight. Alex Sarr, 29, 12, and 6 blocks. A pretty big night from Sarr. I'd like to see him do it a little bit more consistently. Portland had 29 offensive rebounds. Now, that's pretty insane, right? When you think about it, you had 29 second chance opportunities, but then you turn the ball over 20 times and you shoot 57% at the line. That's not an NBA team, right? That doesn't resemble a box score from an NBA squad, from professionals, from guys who are making millions of dollars. These are free throws. Free. Keyword, free. That's basically numbers that teenage YMCA girls hit in their leagues, right? 57% at the line, brutal. You can't waste that many extra possessions and expect to win ball games. So Detroit-Denver, I don't know if it was a shocker, but they continue to buck all models, including mine, right? Denver makes no sense. There's no Jokic, no Gordon, and still they're hanging around and covering numbers. That was one of my losses last night. I thought the Pistons would be able to bully that team, especially with no Gordon, with the style that Detroit plays. And Detroit did take a sizable enough of a lead, but they could just never stretch it. And that's the thing with Denver. And I did say this on the podcast yesterday, that when you're playing in Denver, in Mile High, that's where it shows up. It shows up in the fourth quarter. Paint dominance, only 7 turnovers. Cade Cunningham, 22 and 11, no turnovers. Denver had chances late. They had chances to more than win the game. I mean, they only lost by a bucket, but they had a chance to win the game, but then they missed free throws, and that was pretty much it. Thunder Pelicans, that game was gritty. You know what? Gritty game. OKC missing bodies, but they still get it done. And that's the story with OKC right now. They're just laying too big of numbers to expect them to cover with consistency. SGA stays automatic, 29 points. Chet goes 20, 14, and 5 blocks. Zion was efficient, but New Orleans couldn't finish the comeback. And that's the story with New Orleans, right? They're always close, but never there. And that's been the story for the last 3-4 years. I mean, since AD was in New Orleans, it's just, I don't know, man. Terrible franchise. Or they just don't want to play for upper management. I don't know what it is. And yeah, it did end with a little bit of extra spice at the buzzer. I don't know if you guys watched, but it did end with a little extra spice at the buzzer. Suns Nets was old school inside basketball. No Booker, no Green. Didn't matter. Mark Williams, a beast, lived at the rim. 27 on 13 shots. Brooklyn wasted a big night from MPJ, as Brooklyn often does. Phoenix owned the paint 72-48. And finally, last but not least, the Clippers Jazz, which was the second part of my money line parlay. Look, the Clippers right now, and I'll tell you right here, bet on team. Bet on team. So if you haven't caught on that Clipper train, there's still time. Or wait, the Clippers boat. Their logo's a boat. So we'll say if you haven't caught on that Clippers boat, there's still time. Definitely hitch your wagon to that boat. Utah, a little bit off. Utah jumps out early, but then the Clippers flip the switch. 36-20 in the third quarter. Kawhi, of course, steady again. That dude is having a monster season. And Harden was orchestrating. Harden looked good as well. Chris Dunn with 5 steals against his old team. That was ball control, execution, plain and simple. 7 games last night, a lot of defense, a lot of shooting variance. I told you, margins matter most in this league. All right, so let's dive into tonight. But before we do, go ahead, smash the like button, send it to a friend who needs it. And I know a lot of you have a lot of friends who fucking need this show. Make sure you send it. Be a friend to the show. All right, so here we are. First up, Lakers, Cavaliers, return of the king. LeBron turns to Cleveland. Cavaliers are laying 3.5. The total here was at 236.5. So this is a good example of why you can't just look at records. The betting edge here lives basically on how both of these teams score and how the market treats them. The Lakers, they've been good ATS-wise all season long, covering just over 50%, 52, 53%, which, by the way, is making money. That's profit. And when they don't cover, they usually don't miss by a whole lot. They usually miss by a possession or two. So they always keep games close. Their average cover margin is actually negative, which tells you that they're competitive every night, but they don't separate. Cleveland, different story. They've been tough to back all year. And trust me, I know. Sub 40% against the spread. And when they miss, they don't just miss, they miss big. That's usually a sign of the market overvaluing them. Pricing them off of reputation more than production. Pricing them for what they did last year, for what they were last season. As far as the total goes, and this is where styles collide, the Lakers, they trend to the over. 57% to the over this year. Simple. Their offense is really, really, really good, but their defense isn't. So basically, they're the Dallas Cowboys of the NBA. Cleveland, on the other hand, they lean towards the under. More controlled, top 12 defensive rating, excellent on second chance and putback defense. So the question here isn't pace alone, it's actually efficiency. Can LA's scoring force Cleveland out of their comfort zone? Because if Cleveland drags Los Angeles into a more deliberate half-court game, it's going to get ugly. Cleveland actually wants to run. Top 10 in pace, top 10 in transition frequency. The Lakers, they don't. They're old. They want to play slower, more deliberate. Projection-wise, this lands somewhere around the middle. Not a full track meet, but not a grind either. So whoever wins tempo early probably controls both the side and the total. Now, the Lakers, they score inside the arc at a very, very high rate. They're extremely efficient on two-point shots. Cleveland is also elite at protecting the rim, top 2 in rim defense. But there's a leak, and the leak is their perimeter defense. Cleveland is in the bottom in three-point percentage and bottom 3 on corner threes. So if the Lakers are going to score, It's either going to be through jump shooting or free throws. On the other side, we all know Cleveland, they live and die off the three-point shot, top 5 in attempts and frequency. As far as the schedule and injuries, because this really matters more than most of you people look at or more than some people admit. The Lakers are traveling east, and this is their 5th straight road game on an 8-game trip. Cleveland's at home, but severely shorthanded. No Garland, no Mobley, no Strus, and Merrill is on the list tonight. I think he's expected to play. The Lakers, they're missing Reeve, and yes, that hurts, but Cleveland's losses change how they have to play this game. Everything is going to flow through Donovan Mitchell, and though he's been really fucking good in picking up and carrying the load, 36 in the first game against Orlando, which is 2 games ago, and then he followed that up with 45 points last time out, and a lot of high usage. So at some point, that's going to wear itself down. The line here is tight because the market doesn't really trust Cleveland to separate, but can you really trust the Los Angeles Lakers to defend? And the total sits high because both teams can score. So the question is, where do the points come from? Where is resistance? Where's the weakness? And how is the market pricing the uncertainty? Tap in, drop in the comments who you're on, who you're betting tonight. Last but not least, of course, on a 2-game set, you 50-50 chance that it'll be the last one. Spurs Rockets. Houston laying 2.5 at home, and the total here is at 220.5. This number did jump around a bit. It opened up at like 2, and then it jumped up to 3.5 in some places. Now it's back down to 2.5. This is one of those games where home court and closing ability matter more than season-long rankings. Because on paper, San Antonio looks like the better team, the more dominant team. They've been more consistent. But in the market, Houston keeps getting respect. And there's a good reason why. First, let's start with the ATS and momentum. Houston's been tricky to figure out. They are winning games. They're 6-4 straight up, but they're 3-7 against the spread. And the common theme here is they don't seem to cover big numbers. They blow nobody out. They get no separation. But here's the part that you can't ignore. Houston at home. They're 16-3 straight up in that building, and that matters. And this game is basically a just win type of a game at 2.5. San Antonio, they're 31-16 overall, second in the West. But the splits show up on the road. They're still good, but they're 14-9 away from home. Not really as dominant as they are at home in their home court. And recently, coming off of a brutal loss, they blew a 20-point lead in that game and collapsed late. That's relevant in this spot. Now, as far as the total goes, this has been one of the clearest trends in the entire NBA. San Antonio is an under machine, 9-1 their last 10. They play elite defense, top 3 in defensive rating. And when Wembanyama plays, the rim just disappears. Odds makers haven't really adjusted to that yet. They keep hanging totals north of 220, and the Spurs keep dragging games down underneath them. Houston's offense is real, but they're also fine with winning games late ugly. Now pace. Houston plays slow, bottom 5 in pace. They want the game in a half court, and defensively, they're elite. Top 3 in half court points allowed. San Antonio would prefer to run a little bit more, but if they get stuck in playing Houston's game, every possession gets a little bit heavier, and San Antonio is efficient. This is going to favor the Houston Rockets a little bit more because Houston, they live on the glass. First in offensive rebounds, first in putbacks. They don't need clean shots. They'll take 2-3 of them. See, that's the real test for a guy like Wemby. But when Houston isn't just inside, they don't play just inside. You've also got Kevin Durant spacing the floor. Sengun also creating shots from the elbow. Amen Thompson tapping gaps and attacking lanes. If Wemby has to step away from the rim, those lanes now open up. San Antonio's on the road coming off of a collapse, still searching for consistent late-game execution away from home. If the Spurs control the paint, the under stays alive. But if Houston controls the glass and wins the fourth, they'll be hard to fade at home.
I live the life, the bright lights, the type the crowd likes. Where you at, baller?
All right, guys, I will see you back here tomorrow. I will break down as many games as I can for you on a nightly basis. Look, time is always an issue for me. If you want the games that I'm personally betting tonight, and I actually do have tickets for 8 games tonight. So I have a large card in the NBA tonight. Love the card, love the spots. I'm looking to score out. You can pick that up, link in the description below. Today and today only, I'm running a special, $100 NBA season. You can't beat that with a bat. Seriously, you can't beat that. You cannot beat that. If you're a small player or a big player, you want to take advantage of the sharpest mind in the NBA, this is your chance. And you get to do it at a fraction of the normal cost. $100 for the rest of the NBA season, straight through the NBA Finals. I don't charge separately for the playoffs. You can pick that up right now. Link in the description below. Not bio, right? Link in the description below. Link in the description below. All right, that's it for me here today, guys. Go ahead, drop in the comments. Let me know who you're playing today. Let me know your thoughts, your opinions, your comments. Love to hear them all, and I do read them, and I try to respond to as many of them as I can. Always, always, always appreciate you guys. Please drop a like on the video. Make sure that you subscribe so that you guys are always being updated on when we drop these videos. You want my NBA free pick? I did do a separate video for that, for the Orlando Magic and my Miami Heat for tonight. All right, see you guys back here tomorrow. But until then, remember, responsible gambling. Bet with your heads, not above them.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. Suffocation, no